On January 26, 2025, the CIA released a significant assessment regarding the origins of the COVID-19 pandemic, suggesting that it is more likely that the virus leaked from a laboratory in China rather than originating from a natural source. However, the agency emphasized that it has low confidence in this conclusion, indicating that the supporting evidence remains inconclusive or contradictory. Key highlights from the CIA's assessment. 1. Lab leak versus natural origin. The CIA's assessment posits that a research-related origin is more probable than a natural spillover from animals based on the available information. This finding was announced by CIA Director John Ratcliffe, who has previously advocated for more scrutiny into the lab leak theory. 2. Historical context. The Wuhan Institute of Virology has been a focal point for those advocating the lab leak theory. Being located near the Wuhan wet market where the first COVID-19 cases were reported. Previous statements from the FBI and other intelligence agencies had also hinted at the possibility of a lab incident leading to the outbreak. 3. Political reactions. The CIA's findings have reignited political debates, particularly among Republican lawmakers. Senator Tom Cotton expressed support for the CIA's conclusion, calling for accountability from China for the pandemic's impact. Conversely, Chinese officials dismissed the lab leak theory, labeling it as politically motivated. 4. Diverse perspectives. The CIA's assessment reflects ongoing uncertainty within the intelligence community. While some agencies have shifted toward supporting the lab leak theory, there is still a lack of consensus on the virus's origins. The complexity of the issue is underscored by the CIA's acknowledgement that both lab-related and natural origins remain plausible. Timeline of relevant events. Late 2019, initial COVID-19 cases reported in Wuhan, China, with connections to the Wuhan wet market. 2020 to 2021, investigations into the virus's origins begin, with various theories gaining traction. 2022, the FBI and Department of Energy release assessments suggesting a lab leak as a possibility. January 2025, the CIA releases its assessment indicating a lab leak is likely the origin of COVID-19, albeit with low confidence. Conclusion. The debate over the origins of COVID-19 remains unresolved, with the CIA's recent assessment adding another layer to the discussion. The complexities of intelligence analysis, the geopolitical ramifications of the pandemic, and the lack of definitive evidence from China suggest that this issue will continue to be a matter of contention as the world navigates the lasting effects of the pandemic. The intricacies surrounding the origins of COVID-19 highlight the critical need for transparency and cooperation in scientific research to prevent future global health crises. The CIA's recent assessment asserting that COVID-19 most likely originated from a lab leak in China highlights several counterintuitive aspects regarding the ongoing debate over the virus's origins. 1. Low confidence amidst strong claims. The CIA concluded that a lab leak is more likely than natural origins, yet it simultaneously stated it has low confidence in this conclusion. This juxtaposition of a strong assertion with a weak confidence level is counterintuitive. It suggests that despite the agency's inclination towards the lab leak theory, the evidence remains insufficient or inconclusive, which raises questions about the reliability of intelligence assessments in politically charged contexts. 2. Influence of political appointments. The timing of the assessment coincides with the appointment of CIA Director John Ratcliffe, a figure known for advocating the lab leak theory. The assessment was released not based on new intelligence but rather on analyses conducted during the Biden administration, thus illustrating how political appointments and perspectives can influence intelligence findings. This raises the counterintuitive idea that intelligence agencies may operate under political pressures that could shape their conclusions rather than purely objective analysis. 3. Lack of scientific consensus. While the CIA's assessment leans towards a lab-related origin, the scientific community remains divided, with many experts advocating for natural zoonotic spillover as the virus's origin. The lack of consensus in the scientific community, despite intelligence agencies increasingly leaning towards the lab leak hypothesis, presents a paradox. It implies that even as intelligence agencies assert certain conclusions, the scientific inquiry remains complex and unresolved, highlighting a disconnect between intelligence assessments and scientific evidence. For geopolitical ramifications versus scientific inquiry, the CIA's findings have significant political implications, especially concerning U.S.-China relations. Republican lawmakers have seized upon the assessment as justification for holding China accountable for the pandemic's global impact. However, the scientific investigation into the virus's origins is ideally an objective process focused on understanding and preventing future outbreaks. This tension between political motivations and the pursuit of scientific truth creates an ironic scenario where the urgency for accountability may hinder genuine scientific inquiry. 5. The role of previous investigations. Earlier investigations, including those by the FBI and the Department of Energy, have posited similar conclusions regarding a lab leak. However, these findings were often accompanied by low confidence levels, suggesting that while multiple intelligence agencies may converge on a similar theory, the basis for their conclusions remains shaky. This presents a counterintuitive situation where consensus among intelligence agencies does not equate to robust evidence pointing to a broader issue in how intelligence is interpreted and communicated to the public. 6. Controversy surrounding the lab leak theory. Historically, the lab leak theory was dismissed by many within the scientific community as a conspiracy theory. However, as intelligence assessments have shifted, it raises the counterintuitive question of how narratives can change over time based on emerging evidence or political motivations. This shift illustrates the fluid nature of scientific discourse and public perception, where theories once deemed unlikely gain traction as political and social contexts evolve. These counterintuitive elements underscore the complexities and nuances involved in understanding the origins of COVID-19, blending scientific inquiry, intelligence assessments, and political ramifications in a way that challenges straightforward narratives. The CIA's recent assessment suggesting that the COVID-19 virus most likely leaked from a Chinese laboratory rather than emerging from natural sources is significant for several reasons, particularly in context of how the narrative around the pandemic's origins has evolved and the geopolitical implications that arise from it. Overlooked aspects of the report. 1. Low confidence in findings. While the assessment states that a lab leak is more likely, it also underscores a critical piece of information that is often lost in headlines. The CIA has expressed low confidence in this conclusion. This indicates that the evidence supporting the lab leak theory is not robust and remains inconclusive. The lack of high confidence evidence highlights the ongoing uncertainty and the complexities involved in determining the virus's origins. Many discussions may focus primarily on the lab leak theory without adequately addressing the limitations of the evidence. Significance. This low confidence level suggests that while the lab leak theory is gaining traction, any conclusions drawn from it should be approached with caution. This nuance is vital for policymakers and the public to understand, as it can shape responses to the pandemic and future preparedness. 2. Political ramifications. The findings have reignited political discourse, particularly among Republican lawmakers who perceive validation of their prior claims regarding China's role in the pandemic. Lawmakers like Senator Tom Cotton have used the CIA's assessment to call for accountability from China. However, the political motivations behind pushing the lab leak theory should not be overlooked. The Chinese government has consistently dismissed these claims as politically motivated. Significance. The intersection of science with political agendas complicates the narrative around the origins of COVID-19. The potential for politicization can hinder objective investigations and scientific inquiry, making it imperative for analysts and the public to critically evaluate the motivations behind discussions of the virus's origins. 3. Geopolitical tensions. The CIA assessment is occurring against a backdrop of heightened tensions between the U.S. and China. The call for accountability from China could lead to further diplomatic strain impacting international relations in various domains, ranging from trade to security. Significance: understanding the geopolitical landscape surrounding the pandemic's origins is essential for grasping how this issue could influence global politics. The narrative of a lab leak could exacerbate tensions and lead to retaliatory measures, further complicating an already fraught international environment. 4. Scientific consensus. The lack of a scientific consensus on the origins of the virus remains a critical point that is often overshadowed. Many scientists still support the zoonotic spillover theory, indicating that the virus likely originated in wildlife before infecting humans. The ongoing debate highlights significant gaps in our understanding of virus transmission and emergence. Significance: the scientific community's division on this issue showcases the challenges in establishing a clear narrative based on empirical evidence. This division can affect public trust in scientific authorities and health organizations, which is crucial for managing future pandemics. 5. Intelligence community dynamics. The report, which was completed during the Biden administration but released under the new CIA Director John Ratcliffe, illustrates the dynamics within the U.S. intelligence community regarding the origins of the pandemic. Ratcliffe has a history of favoring the lab leak theory, suggesting that leadership perspectives can significantly influence intelligence assessments. Significance: this highlights the role of leadership in shaping intelligence narratives and the potential for biases to affect the interpretation of evidence. Understanding this can help the public critically assess intelligence reports and their implications. 6. Implications for future research. The CIA's acknowledgement of both research-related and natural origin scenarios as plausible reflects the need for continued research and investigation into the origins of COVID-19. However, the lack of cooperation from Chinese authorities complicates these efforts. Significance: this ongoing uncertainty emphasizes the importance of international collaboration in virology and pandemic preparedness. It underscores the necessity of transparent communication and data sharing, which are critical for preventing future outbreaks. 7. Public perception and misinformation. The CIA's findings may contribute to the proliferation of misinformation and conspiracy theories surrounding the pandemic's origins. As discussions heat up around the lab leak theory, the potential for misinterpretation and manipulation of information increases. Significance: the public's ability to discern credible information from misinformation is vital in a landscape where narratives can rapidly shift. This situation calls for improved science communication and education to ensure that the public is well informed about the complexities of scientific inquiry. Conclusion: the CIA's assessment regarding the origins of COVID-19, while significant, is fraught with complexities and uncertainties that are often overlooked in public discourse. The interplay between science, politics, and international relations makes this an intricate issue that requires careful consideration and critical analysis. Understanding these nuances can aid in fostering informed discussions and responses to the ongoing impacts of the pandemic and future public health challenges. 1. CIA's assessment and confidence levels. The CIA's recent assessment suggests that a laboratory leak is more likely to be the origin of COVID-19 rather than natural spillover. However, the agency has expressed low confidence in this conclusion, indicating that the evidence is not definitive and remains inconclusive or contradictory. This points to the complexities involved in intelligence analysis and the challenges of drawing firm conclusions amidst a lack of solid evidence. 2. Historical context and scientific consensus. The Wuhan Institute of Virology has been at the center of the lab leak theory since early in the pandemic, with the first cases reported near the facility. Despite this, there has been no scientific consensus on the origins of the virus, which has led to various competing theories, including zoonotic spillover from animals like bats and raccoon dogs. The ongoing debate reflects broader uncertainties in understanding the emergence of new pathogens and the role of laboratories in virology research. 3. Political implications and reactions. The CIA's findings have intensified political discourse. particularly among Republican lawmakers who view this as validation of claims regarding China's transparency. Figures such as Senator Tom Cotton have called for accountability from China, suggesting that the lab leak theory should lead to consequences for the country. In contrast, Chinese officials have vehemently rejected the lab leak theory, framing it as politically motivated, which underscores the geopolitical tensions surrounding the pandemic's origins. 4. Ongoing investigation and future implications. The CIA's assessment is not expected to resolve the debate over COVID-19's origins, as intelligence officials suggest that definitive answers may never be reached without cooperation from Chinese authorities. The lack of international agreement on how the pandemic started has significant ramifications for future global health policy, international relations, and the management of similar outbreaks. Emphasizing the importance of transparency and collaboration in addressing global health threats. Here are 3 famous historical cases that are similar to the topic of the CIA's assessment regarding the origins of COVID-19 and lab leak theories. 1. The 1918 influenza pandemic, Spanish flu. The origins of the 1918 influenza pandemic, which infected about 1/3 of the world's population and killed millions, have been debated extensively. Initially thought to have originated in birds or pigs, various theories emerged, including the possibility of a laboratory leak from a military facility. At the time, the U.S. Army's Camp Funston in Kansas was a significant point of focus, as many soldiers were among the first to fall ill. Historical analysis of the pandemic has been complicated by the limited scientific understanding of viruses at the time and the lack of comprehensive data. This ambiguity mirrors the ongoing uncertainty regarding the origins of COVID-19, where both natural and laboratory-related origins are being considered. 2. The Tuskegee syphilis study. Conducted between 1932 and 1972, the Tuskegee syphilis study involved the observation of untreated syphilis in African American males without their informed consent. The study's unethical nature has led to significant public mistrust in medical institutions, particularly related to research involving marginalized populations. While not a viral outbreak, the ethical implications and the secrecy surrounding the study resonate with the current discussions about transparency and accountability in the origins of COVID-19 and the potential involvement of laboratories. Both cases highlight the importance of ethical considerations in scientific research and the consequences of governmental and institutional secrecy. 3. The anthrax attacks of 2001. Following the September 11 attacks, letters containing anthrax spores were mailed to media offices and 2 Democratic senators, resulting in 5 deaths and several illnesses. The investigation into the origin of the anthrax bacteria led to intense scrutiny of U.S. biodefense laboratories and raised questions about the potential for laboratory accidents or bioweapons. The case resulted in a complex investigation with conspiracy theories about the origins of the spores and the possibility of them being linked to government labs. Similarly, the investigation into COVID-19's origins involves speculation about laboratory accidents, further emphasizing the societal and political ramifications of scientific research and public health crises. These cases reflect the complexities and controversies that arise from investigations into the origins of infectious diseases and the implications for public trust in science and government transparency. The recent CIA assessment suggesting that COVID-19 is more likely to have leaked from a Chinese laboratory rather than emerging from natural animal sources has reignited the debate over the origins of the virus. While the intelligence agency expresses low confidence in this conclusion, the implications of such a finding could have significant geopolitical and scientific ramifications. Future outlook, predictions for the next few years. 1. Increased scrutiny of China. Expect heightened international scrutiny on China regarding its transparency in handling the pandemic and its biological research practices. Countries may push for more stringent regulations and oversight of labs that handle pathogens, particularly in nations with less transparent governance. 2. Geopolitical tensions. The lab leak theory's acceptance could exacerbate existing geopolitical tensions, particularly between the United States and China. This may lead to increased diplomatic and economic sanctions against China, as well as calls for accountability regarding the pandemic's spread. 3. Scientific investigations. There will likely be a resurgence in scientific investigations into the origins of COVID-19 and other zoonotic diseases. More funding may be allocated to studying the processes of zoonotic spillover and enhancing safety protocols in labs handling infectious agents. 4. Public health preparedness. Governments will prioritize strengthening public health infrastructures to prevent future pandemics. This may include investing in surveillance systems to detect potential outbreaks early, as well as improving response strategies and vaccine development processes. 5. Emergence of new pathogens. As human activity continues to encroach on wildlife habitats, the potential for new zoonotic diseases to emerge remains high. Public health systems will need to prepare for the possibility of future pandemics, possibly leading to more rapid vaccine development and distribution mechanisms being established. 6. Shift in scientific consensus. The narrative surrounding the origins of COVID-19 may continue to evolve, with a gradual shift in the scientific community's consensus as new evidence emerges. Research into the origins of coronaviruses and other pathogens will be paramount, potentially leading to breakthroughs in understanding how viruses jump from animals to humans. 7. Legislative actions. Expect legislative measures focused on ensuring biosecurity and transparency in research facilities. This may involve stricter regulations on laboratory practices and increased funding for research into the origins of infectious diseases. 8. Impact on global health governance. The ongoing debate over COVID-19's origins may lead to a re-evaluation of global health governance. International bodies such as the WHO may face pressure to reform their protocols for investigating disease outbreaks and ensuring that member states comply with transparency measures. 9. Public perception and misinformation. The conversation around the origins of COVID-19 will likely be influenced by misinformation and political narratives. As public interest in the topic grows, social media platforms may face increasing pressure to combat misinformation while balancing freedom of speech. 10. Collaboration between intelligence and science. The intersection of intelligence assessments and scientific research will become more pronounced. Collaborative efforts between intelligence agencies and public health organizations could lead to a more comprehensive approach to understanding and preventing future outbreaks. Conclusion. The CIA's assessment on the origins of COVID-19 reflects a significant moment in the discourse surrounding the pandemic. As nations grapple with the implications of this finding, it is likely to reshape international relations, scientific inquiries, and public health strategies in the years to come. The path forward will depend on how governments, scientists, and the public respond to the ongoing challenges posed by infectious diseases and the systems in place to manage them.